have to share my, so I just have to share my screen now. Okay, so welcome to class, everyone. And I hope we've been practicing. So I checked the Miro board and I saw that we've been doing a whole lot of stuff there, and it's amazing. I saw that most people put in their user persona, and looking at it is great. So I can't say maybe there's someone that did anything wrong. So that was just a test to help people know how to create a user persona. So even when you're working on a project, a project, it helps you to create a persona to the audience, kind of audience that you are creating a product for, or you are creating a project for. Okay, so it just helps you a lot to understand how to create a user persona. So I like the fact that everyone attempted to do it. I was looking at the Miro, I was coming in and out, and I really liked what I saw. So well done, everyone. And if you've not done it, you can ask some of your colleagues to put you through what we've done, what we are doing, or maybe you can watch the recording so that you can have an idea. So that class was just more of practicals so that we can learn. And today we might likely, if time permits, we might likely go on Figma to create a digital wireframe, but we'll look into it later and we'll see if it's possible for us to go online, but I hope so. So welcome to class once again. And what we'll be doing for today is we're going to be looking at a recap of the last class, of which I was already talking about user persona. Please, people should mute if you're not asking a question so that you don't enter our video, our recording. So we're going to also be looking at design thinking overview. So I don't think we really went deep. I don't know if Olayinka went deep into it. So we just do an overview of design thinking. Then we'll look at wireframing. We'll look more on wireframing. I remember the last class, someone was asking about the low fidelity wireframing and the high fidelity, and I said we'll get into it. So we'll look at wireframing. Then we'll also look at mockups. What is the mockup and what it looks like. Then we'll touch a bit on information architecture, but I don't think we'll really go in depth into that because of time. So I might just stop at mockups. Then we'll just dive into practical sections, creating low-file wireframing and low-file mockups. Low-fi is low fidelity, high-fi is high fidelity. So we'll be looking at all these things today. So for the recap of the last class, who can explain to us or talk to us a little bit about user persona? Because I know we looked at it and I saw a lot of people drop in their user persona. What did I say user persona is? Who wants to talk? I can't see anybody. I'm just seeing my screen. So I might not know when someone is saying something.
All right, good evening, Coach.
Good evening.
Okay, good to have you once again in our class. All right.
Thank you.
So, about the user persona, you said they are fictional users whose goals and characteristics represent the need of a larger group of users. And also, it can actually help to identify the patterns of users, the patterns of behaviors in users. So that's what I got.
Okay. So I think you're correct. So it's a fictional user, But in your own understanding, what do you think it is?
Based on the
They're just reading my notes.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Based on the assignment we were given to design a user persona for the person that had food allergy, it helped. And what I did, it helped me to know who the person is, his age, his where he's working, his goals, what was his pain point, and what is the way out, the solution on how to void of food allergy. So that's in summary.
Okay, you're correct. So it's just like you're creating a one fictional character that is trying to speak to the kind of audience you are building for. So I think you're correct. Thank you for that. Is it Gladys? Is that Gladys? Okay. So I'm beginning to know my students. The major thing we really looked into the last class and we practicalized it. And I'm happy that a lot of people did it and they have like an understanding of what a user persona is. So the next one we are going to be looking at is the design thinking overview. So from what we have here, a design thinking framework is a way to create solutions that addresses a real user problem and are functional and affordable. So it's like you creating a solution. It's a framework that helps you to create solutions that actually addresses a problem. That problem that you have created. Design thinking helps you to create solutions from it. So, okay, I don't think we did a problem. Yes, we've not done that. So it was one of my other students that I was training. She was able to, yeah, I think we talked about defining problem statements in the first class. I think I remember we did that where I told you about the 5 W's and H. The one who has the problem, what, why, and all of that. I think we did that in our last class. So it's something that we'll also use our MyRobot to carve out a problem statement. So I think that also helped us. That user persona that we did would also help us to bring out problem. So it is a process for creative problem solving. Did anyone wants to speak? It's a process of creative problem solving. So we are going to be looking at the process of design thinking process. So the first one is the empathize stage. Second one is the define stage. So if you look how it's coming from the blue down to the define. No, it's coming from the, yes, empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So that's how it's just going to move from the blue down to the red line to the ideate or orange line, prototype, and to the gray line. So that's in a nutshell what design thinking is about. I think we touched it. I ran briefly on it on my first class. So empathize stage, and I think I gave example of assuming you want to build a product that helps people to ease off stress while waiting at the bus stop. And I give an example. So empathize stage is you understanding your user and putting yourself in the shoes of your user and thinking like them because you want to be able to build for them. So how they think, you're going to put yourself in the shoes of those users. I can do that through interviews, observations, and creating a questionnaire so that you can ask lots of questions, getting feedback from people. Then the define stage is where you are now figuring out the problem. So that problem, when you figure out the problem, it now helps you to create a user persona that you are building for, that has that problem, that is facing those challenges. So then from there, you ideate, you generate ideas that helps you to come up with amazing solution to that problem that you have already discovered. Then you now create your prototype. So I was doing private tutoring with somebody, and she's she's in the stage of creating questionnaires. She just reached out to me that this thing is not really, it's not as easy as we just teach it like that. So she's trying to build an app where you can share a ride with people. And so she wants to know whether it's going to ease off stress. Or I think the app is okay. She said the app is more of something like they help you to buy something in the market. So instead of you going to the market, the long journey to the market and buying a lot of food stuff, so they help you to buy. So she's trying to like focus on Nigerian in Nigeria, not in diaspora. So that's what she's coming up with. And she's in the stage where she wants to develop a questionnaire and ask questions as well. So sometimes it's always good to practicalize what you've learned, because product design is practical more than theory. Theory, as you're doing the theory, you're practicalizing it. And that's why I took us to Miro board that last class, so that we can practicalize what a user persona is. And I don't know if we're able to do a problem statement there, which is supposed to be important as well. So the next one is the design thinking tools. So we have different tools we use when we are doing our design thinking. So we use different tools, and some of which is How Might We? How Might We is HMW, and that is like you coming up with different solutions. So when you are doing your design thinking process with your team or whoever you pair with to work on project together, your solutions that you're coming up with will start with how might we. It's like you are thinking together. How might we come up with this and that? How might we do this? How might we do that? So people are using your sticky notes, and everyone is writing down his own how might we. Okay. How might we come up with a product that eases off stress? How might we create an app that eases off stress? Or how might just something like that? If you are coming up with solutions, you've written, knowing your problem already helps you to think of possible solutions. Okay. So it just helps you to think of a lot of solutions that you can come out with from the problem that you have. So the next one is brainstorming. So brainstorming also goes with your design thinking, because you have to think, you have to brainstorm together with your teammates, or even brainstorm alone. Okay, if you are working on the project alone and you don't have like a team to work with you. Then the third one is crazy eights. Crazy eight exercise. So it's always conducted when you're in a team and you're trying to come up with solutions. How this is being conducted is that everyone will sit down, 8 people will sit down and come up with 8 different solutions to a problem. Okay, you craft out, you draw out, or you sketch out the solutions you think can work for this problem that you're trying to build. Then you also, another tool that we use in design thinking is user journey mapping. So this is a document, you are documenting the journey of the user when before the person uses your product and after he uses your product. So before you use your product, you are documenting the struggles, you are documenting the challenges he's facing, you are documenting everything in a user journey map. You see it in Miro board. One of the templates has user journey, so it helps you to document. Then the fifth one is user interview. It's part of also what we use in design thinking too. So when I worked on one project like that, and we're trying to find out, the problem was that new managers were having issues becoming managers, because of the advent of remote work and tech, a lot of young people are now working. Young people are now working, and you get to see a lot of 24-year-old, a lot of Gen Zs that are now managers at work. So because there are now a lot of Gen Zs that are managers, we needed to train them to be able to be a manager, because some of them don't even know what it means. They are just smart and intelligent. They know the job, but they don't know how to manage or lead people. So we're trying to come up with that. And for that user interview, what we did was we had to interview operations manager, HR manager, startup founders. I wanted to know, what is this challenge, or what is the challenges they face? What is the challenges they face when with their new managers at work? And so they gave us their feedback, and that was what helped us. That was what helped us in our design thinking section. So we're able to jot down when we're doing the interview with those people. We did a virtual live interview. And so that was what, sorry. So so we had to, after we documented all the information they gave to us, that was what helped us to now carve out the solutions that we think can help these people, because it was actually a problem at that time. So user interview is also important. So for the how might we, it means HMW, like I said, is how might we. How explores a bunch of ideas. So you think of a lot of ideas. Might means our ideas are possible solutions, but they are not the only solutions, but there are a lot of solutions. We means a collaborative effort. So we are doing it together. We are thinking of it together. We are coming up with this. So how you do it is you come up with these solutions together. Everybody is coming up with it with your own brain. Because I mean, we're all different. We all have our own, how we reason. Okay. God created us differently. So we have our different way we reason. So by the time everybody puts his own on a sticky note, how might with possible solutions, you start to, by the time you look at everybody's solutions together, you can now pick the likely one that would work for the problem you are trying to solve. Sorry, are we here? Because I'm just looking at my own screen and I'm not
Yes,
seeing
ma'am.
any. Okay, thank you. So the we means a collaborative effort. So is it clear up to this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you can also put in the chat. I think you can also put chats too. While if you respond, you can also put in chat as well so that I can be seen, because I'm looking at the chats. So that is how might be. Then the crazy eight, this is how it looks like. They will tell you to fold your paper. There's a way they fold the paper. Looking at this paper here, you can tell how you can fold it into 8 places. So the crazy eight lets you compare ideas and see other ideas and come up with the best possible solution. It's just like that, how might we? You also put it in a sticky note. So you now come and pick, because how we did it then, we used my robot as well. And we also, so we had to create like a dot. It's like a circle. So we painted it, I painted it red. I was on that, I arranged everything on the Mario board. And so any solution that you think is not, it won't work, you put your red sticker on it. Any solution that you think would work, you put the green, or you don't even put anything there at all. So when we are done, we now select those ones that don't have red on it, or those ones that the red are minimal. So some of them, the red might put it like 4 times, meaning I don't want, this solution will not work. So that's the same thing with crazy eight too. So everyone, 8 people, that exercise challenges people to bring out 8, not 8 people, sorry, 8 distinct ideas in 8 minutes. So there's going to be a timer, 8-minute time. Everyone craft out his ideas within 8 minutes to be able to come up with ideas for that, solutions for that problem that you're trying to solve. And in 8 minutes, we are done. And people get up to start explaining their thoughts process. Because I also did this exercise in my team as well, and all of us came up with ideas. And so you start explaining what you feel your idea was like, or what you feel your ideas can do. Okay. And if it works, it will be chosen. If it doesn't work, it's cancelled. Okay. So if you are working in it, you can choose the one that works for you. If the sketching method works, or if the how might we works. So anyone that you feel works for you. Then the user journey mapping is basically you building personas and the experiences the user encounters when using the product. So for instance, if your persona's name is Felicia or Gladys, so you document the experiences that Gladys faces even before when she had that problem that you want to solve. Okay. So that's user journey mapping. So I just wanted to give a detailed explanation on design thinking because I don't think I did that. I don't think I was detailed enough in last class. So I hope it's clear, or do we have a question before we move into wireframing? Is it clear? Or do you have a question? What is that? There's a lady that used to ask a question. I've forgotten her name. It is Zainab.
It's clear.
So, is Zainab? There's someone that used to
Ma?
ask a question. Okay, there's someone that used to ask a question in the last class. That was really asking a question a lot, and I was so happy. So please let this class be interactive. Don't just keep quiet. If you have questions or you got lost somewhere, please just call us back. I don't mind answering even while still teaching. It's better than at the end of the class. By then you would have forgotten your question. Okay. So today we're going to be starting fully. What we're doing is recap, and we've done recap of user persona and design thinking. So we're going to be looking fully into wireframing. So this picture that you're seeing here, if you look at the picture, it just tells you a lot about what we want to talk about now. So you look at this one, is a paper wireframe. I have this. I also have a paper wireframe when I was learning and starting out. And it was great. Sorry. The paper wireframe was great, and it just helps you to think in paper and sketch out what you want to do before. Let me put this thing here. Sketch out what you want to do before you even go to your Figma. So wireframe is a basic outline of a digital experience, like an app or a website. So it's like you're outlining, it's a basic outline of a digital experience. So it helps you figure out the layout of the page. Okay, it's like you're trying to arrange this product I'm trying to build now. This is where I want the home button to be. This is where I want the pictures to be. You're trying to outline it. Wireframe, as the name implies, wire. You're trying to put the wires in place and all. Okay, so you're trying to outline your product, what you are building. So creating a lo-fi wireframe is made up of lines, shapes, and text. Like I said, lo-fi, we're going to go into that, is low fidelity wireframe, and we'll go into low fidelity and high fidelity. So looking at this, the low fidelity is the paper wireframe and the digital wireframe. The high fidelity is the mock-up, this one that we are seeing here, the third picture. This is exactly what you want to build. But all these other two here are what you sketched out because you are thinking. Remember in your design thinking phase, you have the prototype. So before you create your prototype, you have done your mock-up before you now prototype and make your design interactive. So that phase of testing is when you have finished doing most of the time, the testing takes place and is advisable, takes place when you are still doing your digital wireframe, so that if there is an issue, you can correct it while it's still like this. Because sometimes you might have finished designing and your work is already fine and you are so handling a lot of things. Okay. So can you still hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Okay. Someone says clear. I think this was when I was asking the other question. So when you have your mock-up, when you create your mock-up like that, it's actually, most of the time, it's always good to start testing from your low fidelity wireframe when it's still black and white. Because sometimes when you have finished doing all these things and they now ask you to clean, it has happened to me before. In fact, the project I'm still working on, the client was like, oh, this design is too serious. I want it to be a bit, it's more playful because it's for Gen Zs. And I was like, I had to go back and start canceling all the amazing images I have put to make it suit Gen Z. And I was really sad. But it's fine. All right. So, okay, sorry, I'm replying something. So, for the lo-fi, text is represented by horizontal lines. So you can see these lines here. They are trying to tell you, you are trying to say, this is text. This is where I'm going to be writing the text. Okay. Texts are represented by horizontal lines. So anywhere in the world, if you present this digital wireframe or this paper wireframe to any product designer, the person understands what you're trying to say. He knows that when he sees a dash dash, he knows that that is a text. So you are still thinking, you've not yet come up with the English that you want to put or the text you want to put there. So you just put your dash dash because you are still thinking. Okay. So then image, photos, illustrations, and icons are represented by squares with large X drawn on top of them, just like what we are seeing on the screen. So with squares with large X drawn inside of it. So when you see something like this, just know that it is an image that is going to be there. So that's what they are trying to tell us in this image, in this icon now. I mean, this wireframe that we're looking at. Then the call to action button, like maybe when you, call to action is like when you have the submit, delete, cancel, okay, or something like that, that you need to click so that an action will take place. The call to action button, like submit or compose buttons, are represented by rectangles or circles. So when you see a rectangle like this, we put a dash here also because there's going to be a text written. Maybe the text is delete or the text is submit or finish, something like that. So when you see a rectangle like that, you know that it's a call to action button. So having this in mind, you now know how to be able to craft out a low fidelity wireframe. So it just gives you an idea when you are building with your team and you're trying to come up with a solution to a problem and you're still in the thinking phase. You don't want to, you're not rushing yet into the mock-up stage. You're still thinking. This is how you should represent it. So anywhere in the world, even when you're working in USA, Canada, anywhere, maybe some of you now will just relocate abroad and say, and you got a job as a UX designer. It's expected that you should know this. Okay. So that is low fidelity wireframe. So this call is going to end in 9 minutes, I think. So when it ends, let's join back, please, so that we can complete our class. So this is another example of a low-fi wireframe. So this is the one I was working with my team, and we're just thinking, we're trying to build an app. So it was when I was in training. We're trying to build an app. So just like you people, I was also training, and we're told to build an app that's more like a social app, where just like this NFTs then that was raining, where celebrities come to promote their songs. But it's more of it's more social. So you can also chat and comment and like, and it's more social, just like Facebook. So this was what we first created. When we created that, we moved to this. So when you are creating, gradually you start putting the text that is needed. Gradually, you start putting some images. You might not put the right images, but you put icons, just like this image here that just has the like a silhouette of a human being profile. So gradually you start putting it. But normally when you start, is this one on the left that you start with, before you now start moving gradually, before you now create the actual thing, what you actually want it to look like. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Then this is the paper wireframe, digital wireframe, and the mock-up. Okay, so we'll be looking at introduction to mock-up. Like I said, when this call drop off, please let us join back in so that we can complete our class. So this is like an app I was creating. This is a live app. I hope the owner doesn't sue me. But this is what a mock-up looks like. You create the actual, what you actually want your users to see. So a mock-up is a static high fidelity design that is used as a representation of the final product. So this is like what the final product is. I've built it. This is what it looks like. And this is what it's going to look like. So when designing a mock-up, there are things to keep in mind. The first thing is to think about the visual elements you want to use on each of the screen. Now, I was thinking of the visual elements. What kind of color? What's the color combination? What color do I want to use? So I asked the client, okay, what is your color? What color do you have in mind? He doesn't have a color in mind, so I just came up with a color and said, okay, this green, and I took note of the color code so that we don't use different shades of green. We have to stick to this one green so that is what we use throughout. Okay. And the typography, I had to come up with a typo. That's the text style, font size, font style that will appear in the design. So at least it's uniformed. So if I'm using a font 12 or if I'm using a font 16, it's uniformed. I will not put maybe in this part that has Toyota, Lexus, Mercedes. I cannot be putting here Toyota 12 fonts, this one 16. It will not be uniform. So everything has to be uniform. Then the font style has to be the same. Okay. So then also the imagery has to be on point. You have to pick real life imagery, because sometimes when you put live image, it just resonates a lot more with the users. So the users know that this is an actual product. For instance, now you seeing these cars, you know that, oh, this car is real. I think they snapped it from their shop, so I can easily purchase it. If I had put an illustration of maybe a cartoon picture of the cars, you will not take it serious. But looking at this, it looks so original. Okay, then also icons. Icons has to also be there. So we'll be looking at, so we have 4 minutes, 55 seconds or 54 seconds. So that when it goes off, we can come in. So color is one of the foundational elements. So when you think of the messages that certain colors communicate, how people understand colors and how color mix, match, or contrast with one another. You think of all that before you start. So for instance, we had green there. And when we had green, I was thinking of which color can match with green. So we have, if you look here, you see a slight yellow. It also matches with it, then white and also. So my design was not a all black design. And even if it's all black design, because sometimes you can switch to the dark screen mode, it will still work. So you also consider all these things when you are creating your mock-ups. So then we'll look at the color theory. So color theory is the collection of rules and guidelines which designers use to communicate with users through appealing color schemes in visual interface. So it's the rules and guidelines that designer use to communicate with users through appealing color schemes. So colors have rules, okay? There are different rules of colors. We'll look at them as we go along. Then for color combination, you can also type this on your browser so that you can be familiarized with yourself with colors.co. It helps you to pick up a color and you lock it. Then you start checking for the colors that can go with that same color. So if you really are not so good with combining or matching colors together, this would also help you. So you can sign up there and it helps you to be able to pick colors. Okay, I think we will just look a bit on that as well. So for the color theory, we have the hue, we have the tints, we have the shade, we have the tone. So I'm sure some people that are graphics designers here would understand this for color theories. So the hue is another name for pure color. That hue is how your green is, the pure color of green. This is the color that you want to use. This is the code, you already have it. Then tinted green is when you add white to the color. So it gives it another shade of that green that you are using. Shade, it gives it another tint of that green. Then shade is an addition of black to a color. So when you put black in green, you see the different shade of green it's going to come up with. Then also tone. Tone is the addition of gray to the color. So it just gives you a different color styles, color combinations, or color theory, basically. Okay. So we should also note that a standard design should have at most 3 colors. So when you look at if you look at a product, a design, maybe a website or an app, you realize that in a standard design should not have more than 3 colors. It will just make the design to be looking too colorful, and it might affect the eyes of people that have eye problem. Okay, so one major rule for UI designers is the 60-30-10 rule. So one color is usually the neutral color. And that neutral color used to make up to 60% of the color palette. So you see a lot, like now in Tech It Girls, you see a lot of purple. So that's like the major color, that's the neutral color.